My name is Gary Parker. I'm the Managing Director of C&T Associates, and thank you for joining me today. We've got a number of guests as well. I've got two colleagues. With me, Sybil Mayard and Stuart Crichton, and we've also got two other speakers who are going to join us as well. That is Rachel Barham from Federation of Small Businesses, who FSB are a partner in the Bexley Business Support Programme, and also Tony Goldstein from Southeast Enterprise, who are also a major partner in the business support programme in Bexley. We have had one or two other people that seem to have joined us from other places. This programme is focusing on Bexley-based businesses, because this is a council-funded programme, or government and council-funded programme. So I'm happy that you want to remain with us, because we do other business support here. But if you're from another borough, the first thing you need to do is to look at your own local authority's website and see what they are delivering. So we'll move on now. You're welcome to put your details in the chat. Just be aware that other people will be able to access those as well. They will also be able to see you on screen. So if you don't want your details or your image to be displayed, then please switch the camera off and put it on mute. We do take your personal safety and security seriously here at C&T. So if you still have any concerns about that, then please contact us. What we are going to do today is I'm going to give you a briefing for about 25 minutes or so, and then I am going to take questions, and then I will bring the two partner organisations in so that they can get some give some information as well about what is being delivered. So if you can bear with me on that, this whole presentation will take about an hour. This is the first of a number of presentations, so this will be repeated at least two more times. Because why? Because the issue of funding and funding support was identified as the biggest need of businesses in the Bexley Business Survey, which was conducted earlier this year. There were other needs as well, which I won't go into now, and we are providing other support, as you will hear in due course. So I'm now going to start the presentation. You're welcome to put comments in the chat. If you want to ask a question, then please raise your hand on the screen, or indeed put it in the chat if you need to do so, and we will follow things up afterwards as appropriate. So I'm now going to share the screen, and I will start the presentation. Start with, here are all of our contact information, and we have a YouTube channel as well here at C&T, which we'll be putting these resources on. So some of this information, this presentation will go on YouTube eventually, and possibly on LinkedIn. But there's our contact details. A little bit more about me. Our business is based in here in Bexley at the Engine House. We're not a new organisation, and it's not just me either. There's myself and a number of colleagues, some that you've met a little earlier, and others who we continue to work with. We specialise in business support and fundraising, and also associated training. Again, if you look at our website, cntassociates.com, there's a lot more information there. What's the aim of the presentation today? Quite simple. It's to enable you to identify sources of advice, grants, loans, and alternative funding, and to be able to identify and access further support. So we are going to look at a wide range of support, not just the Bexley Business Support Programme, but other sources of funding as well, because there are a considerable number out there if you know where to look. And I will be giving some information about those. So let's move on. Obviously, with the advent of Omicron, then it's very important to keep updated about the situation. There are the main links. You've got obviously the government links and South East London Chamber of Commerce and the London Business Hub. The other thing I should say as well is that a summary of this presentation will be emailed to everybody who's joined us today. So you will get a summary presentation, but it's not all of it. So please take notes as well, but you will get the summaries about 20 slides, and this is about 35 slides. So again, the other two organisations I mentioned here are South East London Chamber of Commerce, which is a locally based organisation, and the London Business Hub, which was set up by the Mayor of London. All of those organisations have very good information about COVID-19 and all aspects of it, including funding, so they're well worth checking out. As is, if you're a Bexley based organisation, the council's website, bexley.gov.uk, which is all local authority websites ending gov.uk for anybody not familiar with this. So if you're in Lambeth or somewhere, it's lambeth.gov.uk, etc. This is another source of help for businesses from HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. And again, they're giving support and advice about COVID related issues. Some earlier in the year, there were some programs to defer payments of VAT and tax payments, but I don't think they're actually there now, but you can get other advice from HMRC, and you should contact them if you need further advice with regards to tax, VAT, or any other associated issues. I'm going to start now with the local opportunities here in Bexley. This programme has been around for a while. This is not the programme I'm involved in, and other partners. I'm going to explain that shortly. This is on the Bexley website, and it's also a separate site or separate mini site. It's called the Bexley Portal, bexleyportal.co.uk. And through this, you have to do this online, but you can get a free action plan. It's 2 hours support, basically. Web resources, a free 2-hour business review, and then support provided by a number of advisors in different areas. So there's like an accountant for financial information, somebody with a retail background for retail advice, etc., etc. So it's quite wide-ranging, and is well worth having a look at. This is another aspect of this programme. This is Bexley Council's Retail Revival Programme. It's, again, this has been around for a while. It's obviously for retailers, and Bexley's developed the programme with funding from the European Regional Development Fund, because obviously we've left the EU now, so that's residual funding. There's an organisation called Retail Revival who've been appointed by the council that helped retail businesses to reopen, and they're still going to give advice and support for retailers. in a number of areas. So the main program that I'm involved in at the moment, and this is the one that CMT is directly part of, is the Bexley Council Business Support Programme, which it only actually launched last week. We only got the contract for this the week before that. So we've had to do quite a lot of work in a short period, but we wanted to get the ball rolling on this. How do you access it? Again, in the links on this and in the email we send you, there is a registration form. I know from seeing who's been on today that quite a lot of you have already registered. Your business has to be based in Bexley and delivering services in Bexley. But if there may be a case for some businesses, if while you're not registered in Bexley, you're delivering services here, but you'd need to contact me about that, and the council may have to take a view on it. But if you're based in Bexley and you're delivering services here, then you are eligible. I'll give a little bit more information about eligibility shortly. but here are the partners and what they're going to do. There's ourselves, CMT Associates, and we will provide some business support, a business review, very much like the Bexley portal, a 2-hour review. And then we've got a number of webinars. We've got 10 webinars, including this one, several around funding and support, but there's also one about funding and support for women-led businesses, and there's 2 which will be led by my colleague Sybil Mayard about getting your business online, which is an introductory program, and another one about an introduction to using Shopify to develop an online store, and various other things we're going to do as well. The Federation of Small Businesses, I'm sure Rachel will talk about this when she's on. I've got a membership offer, and they may be doing a number of other things, but I'll let Rachel fill in on that. And also Southeast Enterprise, who are a very good and well-recognised delivery organisation for e-business, are going to be delivering a number of e-commerce training and support sessions. Again, Tony will talk about this in due course, so I won't say any more. Also, you've got an organisation called White Label Creative. They are an events and networking organisation, probably best known in Bexley for running the Bexley Business Awards, but they're going to organise a number of events. Of course, it's the same with ourselves. We were hoping that a number of the events and support services were going to be live, and they still may be, but with the potential onset of Omicron, we may end up doing a lot or most of it online, but we shall see. Another organisation involved in this is the ERIS Exchange. Again, there's some locally based programs. This is one I know of, but there are other ones. There'll be more details in due course. This is to support businesses in the ERIS town centre area, and they are providing a range of support and events as well. There's also involved in this are the Bexley Libraries, who are going to give people access to some quite high-level software to support the research and development and to research competitors, and a whole range of other things you can use this software for. There's one program called Mintel, and then there are others as well. Normally, if you have to buy this software, it's quite expensive, but you will get free access to it. I mean, again, that is subject to clarification because of COVID-related issues. The others are an organisation, there's Bexley Council, the Bexley Business and Employment section, who will be coordinating this programme, and there are other programmes as well that I've just mentioned, and I'm going to mention another programme that they're involved in too. And there's an organisation I've already mentioned called Retail Revival. That's support for retailers. And finally, there's the Engine House here in Erith, and this is where we're based. Again, they're going to have a premises offer in due course. This will be clarified in the new year, and a number of events. But again, all this is subject to public health related issues. But most of the programme can be delivered online as necessary. This is what you will get from CNT. And as I say, the registration link is there, and I know many of you have registered already. We have 5 elements on our programme. The first is you've got to register first with Bexley Council, and then you will get, these are all free services, there's no cost to you as part of this programme, 2-hour business review. Some of you will get additional support to develop a template for example, a business plan, a digital or marketing strategy, a business continuity plan, or getting your business online. And there's going to be a range of webinars. I've already mentioned some of these on funding, getting on, and a support program for women-led businesses, how to write a funding application, and then there's going to be another one called Ask the Experts, where we're just going to get a panel of people together, and you can ask them whatever business-related questions you like, and we'll see if we can get an answer, or we can put you in touch with another partner who may be able to help you or work with you on whatever the issue is. The other things that you've got from us is we've got a YouTube channel, which is there. There's already a considerable amount of videos on that, so that we've only set it up fairly recently. So you can subscribe to that right now because it's free. If you just go onto YouTube and search for CNT Associates, or we'll be sending the link out later. And then the final aspect of is the pathway to other partners, which is very important. For example, with Southeast Enterprise, who we've got on today, if people have significant e-business or digital skills issues, and of course we will be referring them to Southeast Enterprise as part of their program. But the idea is here we've kind of created a kind of a gateway with some support from ourselves, direct support, online support, and a pathway to other partners as part of this program. And all of us are working together to get this program going. Our program will, it started last week. The bulk of it will be delivered by the end of March next year, but there is a residual period up till the end of May. So if you're interested and you're not registered already, I would advise you to register now, because there are limited places on this. We've already had a high level of demand for it. Okay, I'll move on now. This, I was mentioning earlier, that there are other programs. This is one from Bexley Council. This is another one. And indeed, if you're from another borough, you need to check out your council's website, because there's other government funding available. And I suspect if Omicron really takes a hold, there's going to be other programs becoming available, like there was earlier in the year and last year. But this one is called the Innovation Fund Grant. All the details are not available yet, but this is a grant for innovations in a business that can transform the viability and profitability of that business. You have to make an application for this. It will be competitive bidding, so you should be aware of that. And you'll also be required to make a 10% contribution. to whatever your project is in order to receive the grant funding. I can't tell you any more than that because the details are still being worked out, but that will be published on the Bexley website as soon as possible. And when that information is in the public domain, of course, we will publicise it as well. So again, a good reason to keep in contact with us. So as you can see, there's quite a lot going on here in Bexley, and that's the offer. There'll be more information about the offer I've just mentioned today. There may be other partners, I don't know, but we'll see. Now I'm going to mainstream it a bit more because there's funding from many other sources, and if you've not been from Bexley, it's been worth hanging on to hear more information about what else is available. And this is in addition to what's available in Bexley. If you apply for any of the Bexley grants or come in our business support program, that doesn't preclude you from applying from any of these other sources. So where do you go to look? It's quite straightforward. There's a number of sites here that I'd recommend if you're new to this. The first is one called My Funding Central. There is a paywall on this for some organisations, but it's for more established or larger organisations. But check out the site. But that has got a significant number of funders on it at any one time, probably at least 1,000, possibly more. Second one here is a site or an organisation called the Entrepreneur's Handbook. And this is, if you're, particularly if you're a new business, then you can get access to this for free. And there's a lot of very useful information in it about how to develop and run a business. Also, you've got 60 pages of grant funding in there. It is throughout the UK, but there's 60 pages of grant funding, which is updated regularly, and all the relevant information about it. Another good source of advice I would recommend, this is a blog called Sage Advice. It has a lot of mainstream information on it, but also a lot of specialist information. For example, I was approached recently by an organisation that wanted to access some electric vehicles. They were looking for grant funding related to this. I was able to use that blog site because there was actually a specialist article about that particular issue. But there's a lot of other information on that site. It's got mainstream information, but also a lot of specialist information for around particular business issues. So I would recommend that. The other two are the Government Grants Hub, which contains information obviously about government funding, and also the London Business Hub, which is part of the Greater London Authority and was set up by the Mayor Sadiq Khan 2 years ago. Again, there's a lot of very useful information, access to funding and other support, but it does, the funding is sporadic, and there's very tight timetables on it, so you need to check that out regularly. But there's also a lot of very good advice and support webinars that you can access. So again, all of those are very good places to start to look for national and regional funding, and also some local funding pots as well. Here is the government's National Business Support line. The phone number is managed in London by people I've just mentioned, the Greater London Authority, and it's open every day from 9 AM till 6 PM. You can also email them as well. You may get referred back to local business support, but they can give you some gateway advice, either by email or on the phone. Here are some other sites that are worth checking out. I won't go through all of these, but the British Library is an excellent source of support, particularly around intellectual property, which is very important in business these days. And they do give a lot of group and indeed one-to-one support for businesses and individuals about business, and particularly related to intellectual property, which is very important to many businesses these days. And of course, it's all free. They've had some programs running in local libraries, indeed here in Bexley, and I've been working with the Lambeth strand of the British Library, and that their work is continuing, and some work is continuing in Bexley, but it was across 10 South London boroughs, but I don't think it's continuing in all places, although I am aware of somewhere it's continuing. Bromley is another one, not sure about other places, but definitely worth checking out what they're doing. And the other one is at the bottom. Another excellent source of support is Enterprise Nation, but I'll mention them shortly. And hopefully you'll be able to get further information about any specific issues about your business. This is a bit more about the Entrepreneur Handbook. It's a comprehensive list of UK business grants. And you need to do some further research to match your requirements against the funder requirements and priorities. So that's how you write a bid in a nutshell. You find a funder that covers the area and that you are involved in, and then you write a bid that matches their priorities. And if you can tally those two up, your bid is much more likely to succeed, although nothing is guaranteed. We've got a lot of women online today, so I'm going to talk about a few programs available for, and funders that are available for women-led businesses and organisations. Enterprise Nation, who I've just mentioned, they are Britain's biggest private sector business development organisation, set up about 10 years ago by a woman called Emma Harrison. One of the things they do is they have a female startup of the year competition every year. It used to be live, now it's online, and there's a range of prizes and support available. I've listed some of the previous ones there, but there's a very, very long list of these. And also, of course, there's the publicity of winning that award, because Enterprise Nation has got a very big network, not at least here in London. And their website is well worth checking out, because they run a lot of free events, low cost events, and they've got some very, very significant experts that work with them. So we are a member of Enterprise Nation here at CNT, and we've done some advisory work for them in the past as well. Here is another one. This is a loan funding. Loan funding, of course, is repayable. Grant funding, which we're talking about in the main, and for example, all the grant programs that I'm going to talk about are not repayable. So that's the difference. A grant is not repayable, but a loan is, for anybody who's not aware of that. The Fredericks Foundation have been around for many years. They have provided significant funding to many women-led businesses. And if you look on their website, they feature a number of these on the homepage and in various links. So how do you get loan funding from them? You have to have a viable business plan, but it's being turned down by conventional lenders, i.e. banks and other organisations, which is not uncommon, because if they're asking for security or whatever, then it's difficult. But these are unsecured loans. That's the difference. And you can get a loan of up to £15,000 for a startup, and follow-on loans of up to £35,000 to support growth. So that is a loan program. But again, Fredericks Foundation have supported a lot of women-led businesses. Here is another one. This is obviously in tech. This is an organisation called Geeks UK. What do they do? They're a women-led organisation that invest in women-led tech businesses. They have a number of programs. I've listed some of them there, including a female founders fund, and another program called 500 Women, which invests in women who are setting up new businesses. Again, these are investment or venture capital funds, so you need to be aware of that, because there are, like in any venture capital program, there are strings attached to it, and you need to check that out quite carefully, but they do have access to significant levels of funding. Again, if you want to know more about that, there's the website address there. Here's another one in innovation, because women are underrepresented in tech. So this is one of the programs that an organisation called Innovate UK, who fund a lot of tech business support programs, have set up. It's an award. There's one top award of £50,000 plus several others of £10,000, and then a range of business support and other support for women in tech. We'll move on from this now. Again, I'm not going to talk about all these because many of them are subject to change, but one I would recommend there is the government direct website, gov.uk business-finance-support, because you can do a customized search on that. I did one a few days ago for an organisation, and I found about 150 relevant funds that organisation could potentially bid to, and that's just off one site. So these things are out there. Apprenticeships are very much still there. In fact, in some places the grants are higher. I put £1,500 here towards taking an apprentice. I think in some places it's as high as £3,000. Obviously, you have to take on and manage that apprentice, and there are terms and conditions to the school, to the scheme rather. And again, the link is there. So if you're interested in that, then I would advise you to contact the National Apprenticeship Service Direct, or look at the website. Here are a number of other sites related to central and local government funding. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but two that I will mention are the one in the middle, grantsonline.co.uk, which it has a free paywall on it. And you can get access to information, and there is also a paywall on it as well. I mean, again, this is one that we subscribe to here. It's not particularly expensive, it's not cheap, but it's not exorbitantly priced either. So if you're going to be searching regularly, which we obviously do, then it's worth having a look at that. But there is a free element to it as well, so I would definitely have a look at that, because it's updated every day. It's very useful. The other thing I'd like to mention here, because it's the one right at the bottom of the screen, I think this is now on redirect, but it's called supply2govtenders.co.uk, which is all government contracts online, from the very small to the much, much larger. Again, the government is the biggest purchaser of services and supplies, and I'm including local in this as well, so you can get a lot of information from that. This is some regional support now, and this is London wide. In this case, again, all of these are worth checking out. One that I would mention is Newable, the one at the bottom, newable.co.uk. This is an organisation that used to be called Greater London Enterprise. They're involved in a lot of business support in London. They also provide support to gain investment in tech businesses. Again, I would advise you to check that site out, because they change the services that they deliver quite regularly. I mentioned the London Business Hub earlier. This is chaired by the Mayor of London, and they they take a strategic view of regeneration, employment and skills in London. Obviously, they're revising a lot of the strategies at the moment in the COVID era, because we're not out of that yet, and a number of support programs have come out of it. The London Business Summit is one of them, which aims to provide a lot of information and business support online to businesses in London. But please check out the site because it's a very comprehensive one. Going to mention a little bit about crowdfunding now, which is another way you can fund your business. There's different types of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding in 1 minute is basically, these are platforms, and people, if you're a non-profit, people can make a donation or contribution to your non-profit making project, whatever it is, or organization. If you're a profit-making organization, then CEDARS, which is an international program of investors, large and small, people invest in your business. Obviously, if it succeeds, they've got a share in it. If it doesn't succeed, their money is at risk. So they have investors large and small. In that, how crowdfunding platforms work is that you put a project online, and they ask you to make a short video as well, about 2 minutes usually, and then you put the project online. You have to publicize it yourself, because that's the key to crowdfunding. You've got to set up your own social media campaign. The platform will do it on their platform, but obviously you're competing with other organizations, and also you've got to ensure that you publicize it. If you're a non-profit, then you get a lot more free support. For example, most crowdfunding sites will charge you between 4 and 9% of what you raise. You don't have to pay up front, but whatever you raise, whatever your target is, and you hit that target, they charge between 4 and 9%. However, for many non-profits, like crowdfunder.co.uk, which is Britain's biggest crowdfunding site, they, for non-profits, there's no charge. That is well worth investigating. Also, Crowdfunder try and align your project, whatever it is, with match funding. So in other words, if you raise £5,000, because they had a program with the Greater London Authority on this last year, you could get another £5,000 match funded on the top. But the match funding element is not a given. It depends if other organisations are willing to provide match funding, and how long that match funding lasts, obviously. But there's a range of these sites out there. If you want to know more about crowdfunding, I'll be happy to explain in more detail. But again, all the information you need is on those sites. CEDARS and CrowdTube are more private sector oriented, more private business oriented, and crowdfunder.co.uk and Kickstarter are more non-profit oriented, but both of those will support private businesses as well. So they have changed from their initial remits. So again, all of those are worth checking out. This is what Crowdfunder are saying that you can get at the moment: access to relevant plus extra funding. You've got the ability to offer rewards. You can get free coaching and support, collect regular donations, and what they're charging is 5% plus VAT in fees and transaction fees. However, it's free to non-profits at the moment, at least anyway, but please check the site for all the terms and conditions. Moving on now, because we're coming towards the end of the presentation. You've got charitable and trust funds. There are many of these in Britain and in the UK, and then you've got they give out approximately £5 billion a year in grants. Yes, that's 5 billion. And there's a range of sites that you can get information on this. Probably the best two are the two at the top there, Charity Excellent, which is free, and Grants Online that I've already mentioned, which does have a paywall, but you can see many of these organisations for free. You just can't get access to their websites. So again, worth checking out. And the other one, trustfunding.org.uk, again, is a very good site, but that has a paywall. It's just got, there's no free access really on that. It's a paywall in the main. Here is Britain's biggest charitable trust funder, the Wellcome Trust, and obviously they're involved in public health related activity at the moment, and vaccines, etc. They give out over £700 million a year. Most charitable trusts will only fund charities and other non-profit making organisations. The Wellcome Trust fund every type of organisation and indeed individuals. What they focus on is, obviously, because of what they are, a drug company, they focus on health-related research and science, but that's using any methodology, including creative methodology. So film, art, digital media, etc., and they have a range of programs on that. The last time I looked, there's about 14 or 15 different strands to their work. So you need to check that out. But you know, that money continues to be available because obviously the vaccine work that they do generates significant funding. But they do fund or consider funding any organisation, individual, business or charity. Again, there's some information about central and local government funding. I've covered some of this already, so I'm not going to repeat it. The other link at the top is the Department for Work and Pensions. I expect they'll have some employment-related funding programs in due course again, but we shall see. I'm not aware of any currently. I think this is the final slide. This is for an organisation called UK Research and Innovation. Innovate UK, who I mentioned earlier, are part of this, and they offer funding and support across all academic disciplines and industrial areas, and I've listed some of them there, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but things like developing people and skills, research culture, investing across the UK, public engagement, responding to climate change, and 101 jobs that change the world. I mean, that's a very interesting site, and I would very much recommend that people look at that particular site. I think this is the last one. This is Innovate UK, which is part of the it's part of UKRI, and they've had a number of programs this year rather, including the so-called Smart Grants program, which was grants for new tech projects, and indeed if you're a new tech business as well, from £25,000 to £3 million. But the key to this is very, very competitive, and the success rate is quite low because basically you have to have innovatory ideas and you have to be able to demonstrate a significant rate of return on that project in a very short period of time. So you really need to work and look at the finances and the financial return if you want to succeed on that. I mentioned the British Library already, so I think I will finish there. There's our contact details. I know I've covered an awful lot of ground here, but I am more than happy to take some questions shortly, and I'm going to stop the share. Okay, thanks for bearing with us. I think what I'm going to do, as time is pressing on, I'm going to introduce the two guests today, as they have kindly been waiting. So I'll go with you first, Tony, if that is okay, and then followed by Rachel. So over to you first, Tony.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Gary. That was really good. Just quickly, can I just ask you, you didn't mention the startup loan scheme. I just wondered if it's still around, isn't it? Is that something that you're working with, or?
Yes. I mean, there's a number of loan schemes around, and I've kind of kept that back because I wonder if the government are actually going to introduce or reintroduce some other new scheme in light of what's been happening. So I've kind of held that back.
Well, well, for everybody that's here, I mean, it's definitely worth talking to Gary about that at some point because it's a pretty good scheme. Anyway, thanks, Gary. It was really interesting, actually. A bit of an eye opener for me as well. There were some things I didn't realise were still around. So, okay, I'm Tony from Southeast Enterprise, and we've been working in Greenwich pretty much for about the last 40 years. Not me personally, but we've been delivering business support programs of various types since 2006 at Southeast Enterprise, and something that we specialize in is e-business, so pretty much digital. And what we do is we help businesses to grow and develop online. So our main objective, really, I always think that in business support, it's about employment, and so we're looking really at sort of bringing prosperity to businesses, which in turn brings prosperity to the borough. We create employment, people spend their money locally, and you get this circular economy, which is what we really want. And we do that by way of business support. And so, as I mentioned, our speciality is around e-business. So we look at all aspects of digital, from helping businesses to develop their social media presence, how to build communities online that you can actually sell to. We look at things like cybersecurity, SEO. We don't do this for you. We show you how to do it. Although we can do it, we have done web building in the past. We don't really want to do that anymore. But our philosophy is very much about teaching you how to fish, not giving you a fish supper, but occasionally we might just do that if we're feeling that way inclined and if a business actually needs it. The program itself is really not prescriptive. It's very much tailored to the individual, and it's not so much about courses, it's about one-to-one support. So it's tailored to the individual. So, we go and visit a business, and it's very much about seeing you in your premises. We are actually going to be based at the Engine House as well with Gary. I think we might even be on the same floor because the council did actually offer us a couple of co-working spaces, but on reflection, we just felt it didn't really suit our business model. So we've decided to take an office actually there. So I'll be knocking on your door all the time, Gary, with asking for sugar and milk, coffee, and all the other stuff that neighbours do, probably. And you can have some of ours as well. We are going to be running courses, so we have a regular program. And I should just tell you that the program started on the 1st of November. And although we have started, we are kind of building the house around you because we're still developing marketing material. We do have courses. We have a whole new range of courses, and the program is constantly evolving. So the courses that we're running today may not be the courses that we're running at the end of the year. And this program is a 3-year program that runs until the end of September 2024. If you talk to anybody that knows our organization, you will know that we're very fond of building long-term relationships with our clients. So, we might start working with you in January of 2022, but we'll hopefully still be talking to you, maybe in 10 years' time, because we are still talking to businesses that we helped to start 10, 15 years ago. We're still talking to people that, we helped to develop, in the last few years. So we've done a lot of recovery work as well over the last 18 months or so with regard to COVID, helping people to adapt their offer, to pivot, which is a really popular term that everybody's using at the moment. We just like to think of it in terms of helping businesses to survive. If you adopt new practices, which not many people really want to do because a lot of people resist change, but if you do adopt new practices, you can speed up recovery. And I mean, let's be honest, we've all had a pretty rough time over the last 18 months or so. I mean, even we have as a business, we're supposed to be experts in business and know everything, but we're tied to the councils. We work for Greenwich, we work for Bexley, and we also work in Harrow as well. We don't do any other commercial work. So although we're very good at banging the phone, drumming up, business through cold calling, it isn't sort of business that generates an income. It's just business that we need, in other words, you to join our program so that we can, provide our service. But we don't ring people up and offer a paid service. So what we do is we spend all of our time, using our kind of expert staff, our digital experts, to help you to grow your business. And that's what we're going to start doing pretty much from the Engine House from January, but we have already started. And I did put my details in the chat. I don't think I've missed anything. I think I've covered most of what we do, which is pretty much everything digital, including cyber. We also deliver regular vanilla business support, as I put it, but I think that digital nowadays is just regular vanilla support. But my contact details are in there. I think there's just been something in the e-bulletin as well that Bexley have sent out. I think we're right at the top of the page. So yeah, if you haven't looked at it yet, have a look at it. But that's us. I hope that if you're a Bexley or a Greenwich business, we can talk to you, or you'll talk to us, and we look forward to engaging with you. Thanks. That's me.
Thank you, Tony. I'll be very happy to provide milk and coffee, but we don't take sugar here. We're healthy. What I think I'll do is I will, because Rachel's been waiting for some time, so if you can do your short presentation, then we'll take any questions for any of us. So if you can.
No problem. I'm just going to share my screen. So some of you will have seen this before, but it's just give you a bit of more of an overview. Can you enable me to share screen, Gary? Of who FSB are, because I know some of you know us, some of you have worked with us, some of you may not have ever come across us at all. It's might look like a long presentation, but don't worry, I'm going to flick through it very quickly. So, but for those of you that don't know, FSB are actually working with Greenwich, not Greenwich, we have been working with Greenwich, we're now working with Bexley Council to support businesses in the area coming out of the pandemic, although obviously the news has changed things again, hasn't it? But the support that we offer is there for you all the time, whether it's during a pandemic or just the normal trials and tribulations of being a business owner. But Bexley Council have given us a pot of money to support businesses through FSB membership, because membership actually offers so much to support, protect, give advice, and also save money to small businesses. Now, I can't tell you which businesses can have the free memberships at the minute, although they've signed on the dotted line. They haven't dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's yet. So we will be guided by Bexley Council in regards to what types of small businesses can take up the offer. However, feel free to drop me a message if you are interested. So as soon as I know any further details, I can obviously contact you, or you can contact Bexley directly as well. But FSB as an organisation, we're not for profit. We're actually a campaigning group, so we lobby government both locally but also nationally. So we were pivotal in getting a number of the different grants that came out during the pandemic, like self-employed income support scheme, furlough, bounce back, etc. But because of the size of us, we're actually the UK's largest representation for self-employed and small business owners. We've got the buying power that as small businesses ourselves, we don't have. But if we all come together, we can secure you some amazing benefits. So there's a package of benefits that, as I mentioned, are there to support you. But they're all around the foundations of business. So things like legal, banking, insurance, employment, etc., etc. We're UK wide. Our head office is up in Blackpool, but then we've got regional head offices as well. Although people like me, I'm self-employed, I'm out and about. So unlike Gary and Tony, who have these nice offices, I'm pounding the streets coming in to meet you. So I'm out and about meeting all small business owners and connecting you. But what do we do? Now, this bit I'm going to jump past because I've not ticked the button, so you won't be able to hear it, but it's just basically a video about what we do. And I think the bits that are more interest to everybody on here are the advice and support that we give you, because you never know what's around the corner in business. So we give you free tax investigation protection. Now, that's an insurance policy should the HMRC decide to investigate you, because if they do, it can be quite a costly experience, either because it's your time and you're doing your own investigation, or if you've got an accountant, you're having to pay them to do that. Unfortunately, they don't do it for free and it can be quite costly. We also give you legal protection because, again, unfortunately, the world we live in, we never know what's around the corner, and some people will come at us and want to take us or our businesses to court. FSB is there to protect you because quite often your insurances actually don't. There's so many exclusions. So we try and cover you in those areas, but for the general day-to-day stuff as well. For those of you that have got employees, we also give you employment protection. So should somebody decide they want to take you to court, tribunal, we can support you with that sort of thing as well. There's health and safety advice, there's free business legal advice. And more importantly, FSB Care is about looking after you, because if we don't look after you, then you don't have a business. So we kind of try to tick off all the different bits that can impact you and your business and make sure that there is somewhere to turn. We can also help you with your insurances, because most of us don't really know what insurances we need. We make assumptions, but so many small businesses are underinsured or don't even have the right policies in place. So we can support you there, give you the advice, give you a health check, and then also potentially even save you money on your premiums as well. And because a lot of us have had to move online, whether it's PR and crisis management, we know what people are like online nowadays. If you do ever have negative comments or something that you think, you know what, I need to respond to this, but I don't know how to do it without actually coming across in a bad light, I suppose, there's also PR and crisis management. But I think the biggest ones to talk to you about are the legals. So FSB membership gives you free business advice, and that is anything business related. So whether it is tax, VAT, employment, contracts, commercial, you can pick up the phone and speak to a solicitor, and the right type of solicitor comes back to you within an hour, and it is unlimited. It is there for you to ask those burning questions. Sometimes it's confirming an answer to a question that you think you know, but you're not sure. And of course, in business, if we get it wrong, it costs us money. So you can have a conversation with a solicitor free of charge 24/7, and it's unlimited throughout the year. We also give you what's called the legal hub, because also a lot of small businesses don't necessarily have the legal documents in place that they should have. And they're things like contracts, non-disclosure agreements, employment contracts, policies, procedures, even sort of information on GDPR. We give you what's called the legal hub, and on there's sort of 1,300 documents that are free for you to download. Now, linked in the legal helpline and legal hub, we also have a legal health checker for you, and that is a free service that asks you various different questions about you and your business and what policies you have in place, documents you have in place, and if you haven't got what you should have, it also directs you to where on the portal to find it. So you can give yourself a quick health check as a member to know where you're actually at risk. And it's all done to make sure that you are as protected as possible. And then where you aren't protected, we can give you the advice and support at no extra cost. Now, when I say all of this, obviously, we work with all types of businesses. So if it's industry specific stuff, it may be that they can't give you a definitive answer. They can give you a general answer, but a lot of the documents that small businesses need, a lot of the support that they need is actually more of the generalist stuff, which is all the bits that we can give you for free. And if they can't, then we actually offer you preferential rates to make sure that we're still keeping the cost down for you for all the added of the add-ons, I suppose, that you might need. FSB insurance services are actually, I suppose, like a brokerage. So they can give you a health check initially to make sure you're not over or underinsured. They can quote you when your premiums are up for renewal. More often than not, they will come in cheaper. The times that they don't typically is actually because you've cut off one of the add-on bits that actually is protecting your business. But regardless of whether you decide to take your insurances with us or not, they'll still act as an advice line, because quite often you can't get a straight answer out of an insurance company. They're there when they want to quote you, they're there when you're making a claim, but the rest of the stuff you can't get them. There's also added support in the background around business continuity planning. If your business is one that maybe needs to give its clients credit, there's also preferential rates and services that they can help you with that sort of thing as well. FSB has got business funding platform. Now it's slightly different. So I know Gary spoke about grant funding. The funding platform is about loans and commercial mortgages, so business loans specifically. They work slightly differently to other brokers in the fact that if you decide you do want a business loan, you fill in a single application. From the information you provide them, they can work out what your credit rating is. And then when they send it out to the panel of lenders, they actually then take your details off. So it goes out anonymously. So regardless of the outcome of whether the lenders will lend you that money or not, it doesn't leave a mark on your credit rating. And then, of course, when you get it back, you can make an informed decision as to whether you proceed or not. But again, it really doesn't matter because you've not got a footprint, not left a mark on your rating, because they don't know it's you until you go to that stage of, yes, actually, I want to go for this. But there's lots of other support around funding, commercial mortgages. There's also debt recovery via the legal helpline, banking and getting those bank charges down. We can also help with sort of payroll, all of this sort of stuff as well. And for those of you that businesses rely on meeting lots of new other business owners, we do absolutely loads of networking. So have a look on the FSB website under the events tab. There's lots of networking opportunities. There's also masterclasses. So obviously Gary and Tony are putting on some great courses in specific areas. FSB masterclasses and webinars are more focused on what members have come to us saying, actually, we would like some information on this. And that's what we put out there. And again, even those are actually hosted by members. So it's people that have built up their businesses around a specific subject, whether it is well-being, import and export, all of these sorts of things. Have a look on the website as well, because there's a skills tab on there. So there's lots of free information that you can access. Members also have access to a quarterly magazine and lots of podcasts. There's the campaigning section on there. So if you are new to business, there's Start Your Business with FSB that gives you a checklist. And then, of course, as members, there's more support, but there's the Sustainability Hub, there's the Wellbeing Hub, and lots of other great campaigns that they've been running, and also the support behind it. This bit, obviously, I've left it quite vague here. Almost all businesses are eligible to join FSB. So any business that has 0 up to 249 employees, it doesn't matter whether you're a sole trader, self-employed, partnership, limited company, doesn't matter if you're a charity, social enterprise, CIC, etc. I think the only ones that aren't eligible are PLCs and big corporates. You are all eligible, and if there are multiple business partners, then there's also different memberships for that as well. Have a look on Trustpilot. Luckily for us, most of the views or most of the feedback on there is amazing. We're not exempt. There are obviously some people that like to put bad comments, but the majority of them are positive, hence the 4.7 out of 5 review. I can't even think of the words that I'm looking for there. So it's great. And of course, a lot of the feedback has come during COVID, which is brilliant for us and brilliant for you, because it's actually got the support that you need in challenging times. Now, this bit I've put in here the cost purely because I don't know if everybody on here is from Bexley Borough, and also whether everybody will be eligible. So cost of membership starts from £177 for the whole year. It then actually reduces because you only pay a registration fee of £30 in the first year. So that would go down to 147. It goes up based on number of employees, but it doesn't go up a lot. And the reason for that is because a lot of the support that businesses need is actually also when they have employees, because there's HR advice in there, HR documents, we can help with payroll, employment protection, etc. If you are a Bexley business, then please feel free to drop me a message. I've put my contact details in the chat, and then as soon as the free memberships are live, we can obviously run through the criteria and see whether you meet it. But at the same time, even if you don't, it is not a lot of money for the support you get. cost of membership is probably the equivalent of half an hour's call to a solicitor. Now, most businesses will need that at some point. And even if you don't, tax investigation protection is more than the cost of our membership. So we do save you money straight away. But I shall stop there. And obviously, if people have got questions, they can come to me directly if they don't want to do it, obviously, openly on here. And hopefully I will also meet a lot of you at some point.
Okay, thank you for that, Rachel. I mean, Rachel's contact details are in the chat, as are mine. If you want to register for the business support program, if you look at the CNT links, it's the first link there. You can see it. Does anybody want to ask us any questions? Can you
want me to answer one of the question on there that I can see from Jamal? So £177 for the first year. All of the benefits that I've spoken about, now there's about 20 different benefits, all come as a right of membership. Now, some of them, for example, insurance, obviously public liability or professional liability, for example, doesn't come included in your membership. There are certain insurances that do, so some things you would pay extra for. Legals, for example, we give you free business legal advice, but if you actually require a solicitor to do work for you, then you can access their services at a preferential rate, so it's a lot lower. But there's a lot of support via the helpline and also then the legal hub that you might actually be able to do it yourself. So it depends on people's budgets. And then some of the other ones like workplace pensions, i.e. payroll, and that type of thing. Yes, you would pay for that, but it will be a lot cheaper than an accountant. But again, any of the paid services, you don't have to use us. They are there. We've got them at preferential rates. If you want to use us, great. If you don't, it really doesn't matter. Hopefully that answers it for you. Okay, thank you. Anybody else got any other questions? Judy.
Yes, hi everyone. Well, before my question, I want to say thank you to all of you, Gary, Tony, and Rachel, for this amazing presentation. My question is for Rachel. As a part of your legal support, you help people like me, small businesses, with the trademarking registration.
You can seek the advice. So they've got solicitors on hand, and there's also documents on the legal hub as well that can help with trademarking, copyright, patents, all of the thing. They don't do applying for the trademarks and things like that on your behalf, but they can talk you through what you would need to do. So they can give you the support, but you would go off and do it yourself.
I think I can add to that. If you look at the British Library website, the intellectual property section, they've got a lot of information on that about trademarking and how you do it.
I think I've got your email as well, Judy, so I'll send you a document that I found because I saw your message yesterday as well.
Thank you.
Okay then, anyone else got any questions? I'd like to thank all the people who've been on today, and of course especially to my two guests, Tony Goldstein and Rachel Barham, who are part of the programme. I will certainly be referring people to Tony's programme, and I look forward to working with them. And of course Rachel and I work regularly together. I'm feeling a very lucky guy today because half an hour or so before I started this presentation, I got a message from somebody saying that I was in a meeting the other night where several people got COVID. So I did I've got some lateral flow tests in the office, and I did a test and it was negative, fortunately. The last time I had to do that in here was when Rachel was present about half ago. And she got COVID and I didn't then. So there you go. But I'd like to thank you all for coming on today. And please sign up for the business programme. There'll be more of this in the new year. Hopefully a lot of it will be in person, but if it's not in person, we'll be all be doing it online one way or another. And I do wish you all season's greetings and a happy new year. and I'm sure it will certainly be an interesting new year one way or another. So thank you all the guests today. So if you want to join the business support program, it's on my links. It's the first line on the links, or email us direct and we'll send you a link. But if you can get off the chat, you can save the chat as well. It is in there. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you to all my guests, and we'll see you in the new year. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.